So we wanted to start off with what is Inclusion 4.0? Nick?
Inclusion 4.0. So Inclusion 4.0 recognises that at the moment the world is in a highly disrupted space. Whether we look at that socially, culturally, environmentally, legally, there's a lot of disruption going on. And Inclusion 4.0 therefore tells us that we need to take a systemic approach using inclusion to help try and solve some of those challenges.
Great. So let's get back there by starting then at the very beginning of the maturity model. So we started off with Diversity 101, which was kind of this foundational, often compliance-driven diversity that ultimately organisations are doing it because they have to, which is noble and can be important for human rights, but is little value add beyond that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the second stage of that model is what we call Diversity 2.0, which is looking at how organisations interface externally. So we might think about terms like marketing and reputation, the language that organisations use around DEI, and that manifests in some really useful things, but it also, if we're being cynical, could argue in award hunting and some superficial activities. And so what we like to then move on to is Inclusion 3.0.
So if we've gone from compliance and moved to marketing, and then we actually move to embedding it in what we do. So Inclusion 3.0 actually putting it into the things we do. So in our talent attraction, in our procurement, in our marketing, and actually bake it in. And that's great because you're creating an inclusive organisation. But then even that can sometimes not be enough. Yes,
because let's say that those systems that we're embedding inclusive thought into, which is great, are actually not necessarily fit for inclusion really. An example might be organisations that are doing some great work on recruiting historically minoritized talent into the organisations, but they've not actually thought about the culture and the system that they're recruiting into, and therefore the danger is they might lose that talent. And so Inclusion 4.0, to come back to that, asks us and demands of us to think again about our purpose and our systems, to make sure the systems are fit for purpose, so that we're embedding into a healthy vessel and not a broken one. And so simply Inclusion 4.0 is systems change with inclusion at the heart. And reflecting on that model we've just been through, we would say it's not a linear journey. You don't get your legal foundations in place and then forget them. We need to think about human rights at all times. And marketing and the language you use is important, embedding is important. But maybe it's helpful to think about them instead as the rooms of a house. If 101 is the foundations, 2.0 is like the outer wall, 3.0 everything that goes in, the pipes into the house, and 4.0 might be the street we live on, the system that we exist in and that we affect every day.
Brilliant.